Welcome to APCUG's Wednesday workshop, where we get together in the middle of the week to learn more about technology. Today's a very special day as we welcome some of our Apple experts, and today we're going to be all about Apple. Our first presenter today is Jerry Rogan, who's been with us before. He served in the U.S. Air Force as a software engineer. After the service, he started his own industrial software company, which was later sold to Eagle Technology in the Milwaukee area. He served as their national sales manager and then became CEO of Solf Limited of North America until his retirement. He's now a snowbird, spending summers in Iowa. And I asked him today, it's just a few more weeks before he heads to winter in Arizona, where he enjoys golf as well as attending the Sunland Springs Village Technology Group's meetings. He is this group's past president. Jerry is APCUG Speakers Bureau go-to Apple presenter. Jerry feels that iOS 17 doesn't seem to have any sweeping changes, as we have seen in some past updates. However, the new features and the enhancements do make it a very desirable upgrade. In fact, he mentioned that there are over 300 enhancements. But Apple seems to be focusing on communication apps like Messenger, FaceTime, voicemail, and phone. He'll be telling us about some of these changes, as well as changes to other apps that are equally appealing and very intuitive to use. So, Jerry, I'm not the Apple person, but I want to hear what you have to say today.
Good morning, everybody. Greetings from the shore of the Mississippi River in Iowa. I'll be going back to Arizona about the 18th of the month, but due to shoulder surgery, golf will be out of the question for a while. So don't ask me any golf questions. I've forgotten all about it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start my presentation. I don't think that's shared though, is it yet, John?
Nope, still see you.
Well, let me get out of that then. I clicked on share and nothing happened. Okay, let me try this again. Share screen. I'm not able to share yet, John.
Should be able to, your co-host.
Okay, let me try it again.
You have to. They're coming.
All righty. Yeah, if you see some slip-ups like that this morning, it's only because
you're left-handed.
Oh, yeah, because I'm left-handed, obviously. But some of us are running the brand new version of Zoom as well, so we have a little bit to learn there. Okay. And it has changed some, so. Right now, I've got a bunch of participants on my screen. I'm trying to get rid of them so I can see what's going on. Okay. It might have something to do with the new version, but let me get my arm out of the sling here for a minute. I can't seem to get rid of the participants on my screen, John. Give me a second. No, wonder what's going on there.
Oh, the whole list.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to go up to the top to your menu, and under more there's a hide.
Got it. Okay. Let me back up. Okay, so we're going to talk about iOS 17. And just a kind of a word of caution, iOS 17 was released, I believe, last Monday. Since that time, Apple has come out with 2 upgrades, 17.0.1. And I believe yesterday they came out with 17.0.2. They did clean up a few things, so if you do not have those updates, please keep them in mind. Okay, iOS 17 basically is good on all iPhones from basically the iPhone 10 on up. But here's a complete list of the iPhones that will support iOS 17. While I'm at it, these are the iPads that will support iPad OS 17. And of course, this is a lot in keeping with the technology changes that Apple makes, but I still think it's a way that Apple forces us to upgrade once in a while. Personal opinion. Okay, iOS 17, as John said, doesn't have a lot of sweeping changes as we've seen in some past updates. However, the new features and enhancements do make it a very desirable upgrade. In fact, there are over 300 enhancements. I think Apple will tell you there's over 350. So I'm not going to cover all of them. We'll be here for 4 days, and I don't know all of them. Apple seems to be focusing on communications like messages, FaceTime, voicemail, and phone. And I must point out that some other changes to the apps are equally appealing and very intuitive to use. You'll find that when you go to edit a text or edit an email, you'll see some differences there. Now, before we get into some of the additions and improvements, a word again of caution. Because your device supports iOS 17 doesn't mean it supports all the features. Some features require an A12 Bionic processor or later, which I believe is basically iPhone 12 or newer. So some of the things I'm going to show you today may not work on your phone if you're below that. I'll also mention there's a few things that, although they've cleaned it up as of yesterday, there are a few things that we were going to talk about that will not be out until later this year, and I will cover that later in the presentation. Okay, so what's new? This is just a brief list. Updates to messages, phone and FaceTime, standby mode, an option to create animated stickers from live photos. Brookie's going to give us a presentation on that later on. Improved autocorrect. No more hey for Siri activation. There's interactive widgets. There's mood tracking and journaling, sharing AirTags and AirPod improvements, FaceTime and Apple TV continuity camera, and just so much more. There's a lot of changes. You can see here on this screen, we're talking about name drop, offline maps, contact posters, find my item sharing. You can now get pet photographs in your photographs, ask for a pet album. There's check-in, live voicemail, improved autocorrect. It just goes on and on and on. So we're going to take a look at some of the major changes that are happening. It seems one of the major changes that a lot of people are talking about and using and enjoying is called standby mode. So when you go to your phone, you can go to settings and you can scroll down to standby. You'll get the screen that's on the right and you can turn it on. You can turn on night mode and so forth. Now, most photos show the iPhone on a MagSafe stand, which works really well. But you can use any charger as long as your phone is in lock mode and turned on its side. It works great on a desktop, kitchen counter, bedside table, or what have you. As you can see here, it's a clock on the left side, and on the right side, it's your reminders. That can all be customized to suit you. What I have found since I've been playing with this I have a charger in my bedroom on my nightstand, and I've now found that I bought another charger to put out on the kitchen counter, so I can see what the stock market's doing, what the time is, or temperature, and so forth. It's a really handy addition, and most people really do enjoy it. Now, if you don't have an iPhone with always-on displays, such as the iPhone 14 Pro or 15 Pro, the display will go dark in about 20 seconds. All you have to do is tap the phone and the display will come on again for another 20 seconds, or if you're handy, you can bump your nightstand and it'll come on and work that way. So this is where always-on display would be beneficial, but it doesn't take anything but just a tap on the phone to get it to activate. So as I said, we're showing it on a MagSafe stand. You don't have to mess with cables or anything. It's magnetic. You put your phone on it and you can do it vertically or horizontally. To work in standby mode, the phone has to be lengthwise as shown in this picture. Now, you can have it set up to, for example, here I'm showing my granddaughter and my two great-granddaughters, as well as the temperature. Those photos will change as we go through the day. I can also see how charged my phone is up in the upper right-hand corner. That's one of the things I like to look at. But at times, I also like to look at what the stock market's doing and so forth. So I'll change that widget. So changing these widgets is easy. Once your phone is in standby mode, you just simply long press on the widget you want to change. And you can then edit it. You could have a simple colorful clock on your nightstand. I can even read that without my glasses, so that's something. But when you put it in on your nightstand and it's in a dark room, if you have dark mode turned on, it will all come up in red, so it'll be easier on your eyes. There are a lot of different clocks you can look at. You can look at notifications, your calendar, the stock market, photographs, whatever you wish. And as the third-party developers come online with more active widgets, there'll be far more that you can do with these. But I do think it's great on a desktop, and I think it's great on a nightstand. It can just totally replace your clock radios and everything else. So I hope that explains what night standby mode is. Now we're going to talk about contact posters. I'm still struggling with the usefulness of this feature, but it's one of their main features. Contact posters are used to identify you when you make a phone call or use AirDrop. The kicker is it has to be to another iPhone that has you in their contact list. So to me, unless I'm calling my family, there aren't many people that have me in their contact list who would see my contact poster. Now you can turn it off and on, and you can have more than one contact poster for yourself. Perhaps one for when you call your family or friends, and another when you call a business associate. But basically, when I call somebody who's got me in their contact list on an iPhone that has iOS 17, they will see my photograph and so forth, so they can see who's calling. Some people think that's a big deal. I'm not totally 100% sold on it, but it is fun, I have to admit. And this is just a brief rundown how to do it, but basically you open your Contacts app, tap on My Card at the top of the page, the one with your name on it. You tap on Contact Photo and Poster, tap Edit, tap Customize, tap Poster, and you can bring in whatever photograph you want. You can resize it. You can change the color of the font by your name or the size of the font. You can change the color of the time. So you can do a lot with it. I just at this point challenge how much people will use it other than for calling family or so, whoever. It is fun though. The phone and contact screens have also changed. If you look at this image, you'll notice the buttons at the bottom of the screen are quite different from what we had in iOS 16. You've now got 6 buttons there. You've got your speaker or your speakerphone or whatever you want to do, video. You can mute yourself. You can go to contacts. You go to a keyboard, or you can hang up. There has been a lot of complaining about where Apple put that red hang up button. I'll be honest with you, since I've been using it for about a month now, I haven't found anything inconvenient about it. So, but that's there. And also, when you look up a contact, you'll notice the buttons at the bottom of the screen in the picture are different than what we've seen. But very intuitive, so you shouldn't have any trouble figuring it out. You can send a message, you can make a phone call, you can video call, you can send them an email. Or in my case, if any of you want to send me money, I'll be glad to give you my phone number and email address. But those are the buttons on the bottom of the contact poster. Create a personal sticker. Again, I personally am having a little problem figuring out what this will do, but then again, I can see what it will do. It's really quite simple. You bring up your favorite photograph of yourself or whoever, long press on the image, like I would hold and press on my chest, and you'll see a white line go around my body. That came out in iOS 16. That's nothing new. But what is new is now you can just click on Add Sticker. So I clicked on Add Sticker. I'll start my message. And I will click on the little plus sign where you would normally enter your text for your message. You will now notice a plus sign to the left. If you click on that plus sign, you'll get the menu that's showing now where it says camera, photos, stickers, and so forth. If you click on stickers, whoops, let me back up, I'm sorry. If you click on stickers, the bottom half of the right side of the screen will show up, and you can click on yourself, and I could say, hey, how are you? And that little sticker comes up above my text message. I guess if you wanted to make several different kinds of stickers, it's one way of visually letting the people know how you feel or what you look like or what have you. But it is really quite easy. Later on in another presentation, you're going to see how to make animated emojis and so forth. But they're all fun. And hopefully somebody can find some good use for them. But that's all there is to making a personal sticker. Pick your photograph, add it to stickers. When you're doing a message or something, you can click on that plus sign, click on that sticker, and off you go. Another feature, sharing locations from messages. When using messages, you can share your location or request the location of the friend that you're messaging by simply pressing on the plus button next to you where you would put your message. When someone shares a location with you, you can view it directly within your conversation. So what I would do here would be just press on location. Then I can either request their location or I can share my location simply by pressing on one of these buttons. Then you have the choice of sharing that information indefinitely until the end of the day or for just 1 hour. So I think that's a fairly neat improvement in iOS 17. My partner, Sue, and I use that all the time. If she's going out about town and I want to know where she's at, I can ask her, I can request that she share a location and she'll do it. And I can then see where she's at. Sharing locations from messages is kind of a cool feature, and it's very easy to do. Now, I want you to look at this menu on the left side of the screen. You'll see it starts out with camera, photos, and so forth. When that comes on your screen, you can swipe up on it and you'll get more choices. You've got stored images, emojis, digital touch, music, check-in, Fandango, and so forth. You can scroll up and down on this menu and see different selections that are available to you from within a message. One of my favorites on this list, it's one I'll look at now real quick, is called check-in. By the way, before I go any further, I'd mentioned you could have Lord knows how many screens of choices. If there are just 4 or 5 that you like to use with messages, if you touch the choice that you want and you long press it, you can then move that up or down the list. So eventually you can take maybe the 3, 4, or 5 things that you like and have them all pop up on the very first screen so you don't have to scroll. Let's take a look at check-in. I don't know how many times I've told somebody, I'll text you when I get home if I had a fair way to drive. I've got a daughter that lives 9.5 hours from me. When she leaves my house, I kind of like to know when she gets home. The problem is when she gets home, she's busy unloading her car or unpacking her suitcase or whatever, and she forgets to text me. Well, check-in will resolve that. She can simply go to messages. She can click on the plus sign, and then she can click on check-in. Then she can say, okay, I want this to go to Dad. So she would type my name up into. And she has a choice here now of check-in by timer, or if she touches edit, she can check in by location. And that's what I request of her because she has so far to go. Really quite easy to work with. In this case, I said, I'm going to be driving to the Dubuque, Iowa Regional Airport. So the check-in changes and it shows the address. And I just say, thanks for organizing the great reunion. And I send it off. What happens now is when I get to the Dubuque Airport, that person that I texted that to will receive a message saying, okay, I've arrived safe and sound. I don't have to do anything. It happens automatically. If for some reason I'm delayed, I will get a message saying, would you like to notify the person that you're running late? And you can say yes, and they'll get a message that you're running late. So it's a great way to follow up on people who you want to know to get home safely or what have you. So to me, that's I really do appreciate that check-in. And I'm guilty as anybody else in not remembering to text somebody when I get home. Okay, from that same menu, you can select photos, which will bring up all your photo galleries. Another way to do it, now photos is one that I long pressed and put it on the main screen of this menu. But then I learned if you long press on the plus sign while you're typing your message, that will bring up your photo gallery. So there's really no need to mess with the menu. Just long press the plus sign and your photo library will come up and you can choose whatever photo you want to include in your message. Pretty slick feature. All right, while we're on photos, one of the most popular photo editing tools is crop. Everybody crops their photos. So when you bring up a photo such as this one, you can now touch it with 2 fingers, zoom in, or in my case, I always say stretch out, and now instantly resize that and crop the photo. The word crop will appear in the upper right-hand corner of the photo. So you can see the photo on the left that I took in Maricopa, Arizona. Guy makes cars out of refrigerators and stoves. If you're ever in that area, it's really an interesting stop. And it's a free museum. But anyway, I took that photo, I zoomed in, and I could then reposition my photo, crop it, and everything else without going into the photo app. those are the little things you'll find in iOS 17 that make iOS 17 a really super upgrade. Okay. When you receive a phone call, Sue called me and she's got her contact photo there, but I really don't want to talk to her. Or maybe it's a call from somebody I don't know. What I can do is press on this button here and it will send that call directly to voicemail. That's a nice enough feature. But once it goes to voicemail, you can see that she is leaving a message. When she begins to talk, her message is transcribed on the screen. And at that time, if you say, oh, yeah, okay, it's the doctor's office, you can go ahead and accept that call and start talking to her. Now, I know I'm not the only one online today with gray hair, but if you remember the old style answering machines, how sometimes the phone would ring and we'd let the answering machine pick it up and somebody'd start talking and say, okay, I'll talk to them and pick up the phone. This is basically the same thing. And I really think it's a cool feature because we all get phone calls. When I had my shoulder operated on, the clinic kept calling me, but it never recognized the number they were calling from, so I wouldn't answer. And they would leave a voicemail, and I'd have to call them back and blah, blah, blah. Well, now I can simply send it to voicemail, see who it is, and I can say, accept the call. I think that is a really cool feature as well. AirDrop has also changed. And this is one of those features that may only work on the newer iPhones. But basically, if you want to swap numbers with somebody, I've got my contact poster, they've got theirs. We want to trade cards to add each other to our contact list. Just bring up your contact posters or your name, hold the phones close to each other, and the numbers will exchange. So you don't have to go through the menu, say AirDrop, and say who you want it to AirDrop to, and they have to receive it and so forth. This does it all automatically. And again, it requires iOS 17 on both phones, and I do believe it's an iPhone 12 or newer on this one. Okay, AirDrop, if you want to drop a file or a photo, all you have to do is find the photo you want, bring your phone close to the iPhone that you want to share it with. The share button will appear on your screen, and you just hit share, and it automatically goes to their photos or their download folder or wherever they want it. Again, very, very simple. You don't have to go through all the motions of clicking AirDrop and then say who you want it to AirDrop to and so forth. Just bring your phones very close together. Okay. You know, a lot of times we're out driving around and say we're going from town to town and we may be hitting a dead zone where we can't get any kind of signal. Well, you can now download offline maps to your phone, so you still have the map even though you're not connected to the internet. What you have to do is click on that little picture of yourself when you bring your phone up to Maps. That will bring up the next menu where you can click on Offline Map. And you can go to the maps and select the area that you want to download and just simply click on Download. So you'll have a map to cruise around with without Wi-Fi if you need it. I've tested this a couple of times. It works fairly well. You do lose the ability to tell how heavy is traffic. Is there any road construction I need to know about? You won't have that, but you'll have the roads. So again, a nice feature in iOS 17. Interactive widgets. I mentioned these when we were looking at the standby mode with the clocks and so forth. Well, prior to iOS 17, you actually had to tap on a widget which would launch the application, and you could do whatever you wanted to do. With iOS 17, interactive widgets now allow you to carry out app functions directly from the widget. There's no need to launch the application. Through an interactive widget, you can access bank info, traffic info, all without launching the app. The screen in the middle, it shows reminders. You can actually touch reminder to release it as it's complete, or there's another icon there where she can turn on lights or turn off lights. There's another interactive widget for traffic, so you can actually look at it without touching anything, and you can see what kind of traffic is on the road that you're on. Right now, there are a fair number of interactive widgets that Apple has created. But again, I think within the next few months, when the third-party developers jump online, you're going to see a lot more super interactive widgets. I know there's about 10 of them out now that I saw on the internet. So again, a very nice feature, not fully complemented at this time, but give it 2 or 3 months and it certainly will be. I loaded my bank information through a interactive widget, and I was amazed. It showed all my balances and everything I wanted to see without launching my bank app. So I think this is something that's got a big future for us. I can swipe over to my widgets. I can see what the stock market's doing, the highs and lows throughout the day without launching a stock market app. Very cool feature. Oh, you can now drop the hey and simply say, Siri. Siri, can you tell me what time it is?
Sorry, I don't
Oh,
understand.
let me start. Siri on my phone answer me. Hang on a second. I'll call it Miss S. Start a 15-minute timer, and you can give back-to-back commands. No problem at all. When I'm in my car and I've got CarPlay on and I want to make a call, instead of saying, hey, Miss S, I just say, Miss S. She'll come up and say, well, how can I help you or whatever. Super nice feature, just by simply dropping one word. Okay, FaceTime. I don't know how many of you FaceTime. I FaceTime my granddaughter quite frequently. If you FaceTime someone and they're not available, you now have the option to call them again, or you can leave a message. Couldn't do that before, and that's kind of a neat thing. So if I were to call my granddaughter and she couldn't answer the phone, I'd say, oh, just check and see how you're doing today. She'll get that message, and maybe she'll call me back, and maybe she won't. But it's a nice feature. Also, have been enjoying this one, even with iOS 16. You take a picture of a plant. You go down to the info button at the bottom of the screen and click on it. And you'll get the information of what kind of plant that is, where you're located, and so forth. Sue and I do that quite frequently. We'll see a beautiful flower and say, well, we need to see what that is so we can maybe get one at our greenhouse. So we'll go ahead and do that. One of the things I discovered, and I did not make a slide for it, and I should have. If I were to take a picture of a dinner plate, loaded dinner plate, say with fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and whatever, I take a picture of that meal, I click on the info button. The next thing I get is not only what it is, but below that will be a list of recipes that I can duplicate that item. And I am not a gourmet cook, but I have fun in the kitchen. So I enjoy things like that. That's a big enhancement to visual lookup. It just doesn't have to be plants. It can be dinners. It can be an automobile. It can be whatever you like. In the health application, and I hope all of you are using your health application. If you have it, it's one of the main reasons I live in the Apple ecosystem. but they've now added mental well-being. So you can now enter your anxiety risk, depression risk, state of mind, and it's all menu driven. If you look on the right side, log an emotion or a mood. How do you feel today? How you felt overall today, and you can check one or the other or answer either one. Click on next, and it'll do a little interview, and it will give you a mental well-being assessment. In today's world, I think that's kind of important. I love this one, sharing AirTags. I don't know how many of you have AirTags. I use them quite a bit. And this is one of my favorite changes for car keys, suitcases, backpacks, pin them on a child, whatever you want to use it. But with this feature, I can now be certain that all of our bags are in the car or on the plane. Both parents could see where a child is if they have an AirTag with a child. So many useful applications. You know, you get on an airplane and prior to iOS 17, I could see what my AirTags were doing. Sue would have to start up her phone to see if her suitcase was on board. By sharing this information, I can simply look at my phone. I can say, okay, my suitcase is on board and Sue, yours is on board, and feel quite safe about it. Or when we're loading the car for a weekend trip, I can see everything that's in the back of my car. You can share an AirTag with up to 5 people. I really don't know that I would do that, but I do share with Sue and she shares her with mine so we can see each other's items and where they're at. Not that we're nosy, we just want to make sure when we travel, we have everything we need. I think that's a great feature of iOS 17. You simply click on share this AirTag, tell it who you want it shared with, and you're done. Okay, journaling. This is a really key feature of iOS 17, and it was to be one of their premium features. Unfortunately, it is not available yet. It won't be until sometime later this year. But your iPhone will create personal suggestions based on your photos, your music, your workouts, and more. So you can journal what you do through each day. Not a lot of people want to do that, but there are a lot of people that do. So I think this is going to be a very important enhancement to iOS 17, and I'd look for it certainly before the first of the year. That's what Apple is telling us. Spotlight. Spotlight is that simple search button down towards the lower part of your iPhone screen. You can click on that, type in what you're looking for, and you will find you'll get far more answers now than you did on iOS 16. I use Searchlight a lot. It works great. That's all I can say. But a lot of people, it's so small, a lot of people don't realize that's where it is. Privacy and security. Communication safety now includes protections for sensitive videos and photos, and it extends beyond messages to include content sent and received in AirDrop, system-wide photo picker, FaceTime messages, contact posters, the phone app, and third-party apps. You now have the option to blur sensitive photos and videos before you choose to view them. Somebody sends you a nude photo, and you've got this turned on, you're going to be notified, it'll be blurred, and you're going to be notified that it's fairly sensitive data. I think that's a fairly decent upgrade that probably should have been there a long time ago. I don't mean to sound critical of Apple. Some of these features that I've told you about, like contact posts, are nice, they're fun. Sometimes I challenge the practicality, but this one I like. I think it's very practical. Okay, and then there's so many other app enhancements. Accessibility has a lot of enhancements. Reminders and notes have a fair amount of enhancements. I didn't use those 2 apps for years, and all of a sudden I can't do without them. Fitness has some changes. For example, if you click that you're going out riding a bike, Fitness will now track how far you've gone, how many calories you've burned, and so forth while you're riding. It's a nice feature. Photos has some changes. And I have to say, one of the biggest changes I've noticed is in autocorrect. You can now be typing, and as you start to type something, you'll see the word pop right up on screen. All you have to do is touch the space bar, and that word fills in, and you keep on typing. Autocorrect has undergone a major rebuild with, of course, some AI in there, but I think it's one of the best changes that they made in iOS 17. So whether you're doing an email message or a text message, autocorrect is just fantastic. Okay, any questions? Go ahead and type them in your chat box, and Judy will get to us. That will conclude my presentation. I'll go ahead and stop sharing now, John. Okay.
That was tremendous. Almost made me want to go out and get one, but
I know you're a dinosaur.
I'm an Android. Yep.
Oh gosh, that was so comprehensive. I appreciate that. I have a question. And how do you download the new version? I'm helping an Apple user and I have an Android phone.
Well, shame on you. I thought you had an iPhone.
I do. That's not me.
Okay, go to General. Go to Settings first. Scroll down to General on the left side of the screen and tap General. Then on the right side of the screen at the top of the list, you'll see there'll be About iPhone, and then the next line will say Software Update. Click on Software Update. And if a software update is ready for you, there'll be a button there that you can press and you'll download it. Just that simple.
But the question would be also, do you want to do that if you really need the phone for the next few minutes or so? Or does it go out when it does that?
I tend to do most of my upgrades at nighttime once I go to bed. I'll say upload it during the night. This morning, I started the download on my Mac computer of Sonoma, which was just released today. It was taking so long, I was starting to wonder if I could use my iPad for this presentation. So yeah, usually I like to do the upgrades like that at nighttime. And think about this, Apple has come out with 2 upgrades in the last week. So when a new upgrade comes up, you may want to hold off a week or two to do the upgrade because they may have some security things or some other things that they need to clean up. You don't always have to update the day it comes out. I do, and I pay the price for that sometimes.
Yeah, I think it was mentioned that 17 is at 0.02 already.
Exactly, 17.0.2.
Well, Jerry will be around during open chat time, and you can ask your questions then. But we're going to move right on to our next presenter. And this is another Apple person. Yes, Judy?
We do have a question, Tony.
Oh, you're going to let...
I do have one more.
He needs to raise his hand because I have to find him.
Oh, he just unraised it. There he goes, back again.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. Outstanding presentation there, Jerry. And Judy, I want to thank you for your magnificent coordination. We'll give you a higher position now in the next whatever administration I would be in charge of. How familiar are you with the new iPhones, you know, the Max and the Pros and all that stuff? And do you have any recommendations? I have an iPhone 13 and I want to go up. I mean, it's time to make a move. And what do you recommend?
You know, I still use an iPhone 12. I look at what new has been added, and all I'm hearing about the iPhone 15 is that it has a titanium frame, which seems to be getting quite hot in people's hands, and it has a different charging port. So when I look at my iPhone 12 and I look at an iPhone 15, I may be looking at $700 difference. I just say the changes aren't worth it.
Mm-hmm.
As long as I can have the current operating system. Yeah, I would like the always-on display of the iPhone 15 Pro, but you have to ask yourself, okay, this is what I have. This is what's new since I bought this. Is it worth the upgrade? And if it is, go for it.
Okay.
I will say that I already have my eyes on an iPhone 16 for next year. I'll upgrade at that point.
Sounds great. Thank you.
I attempted to upgrade my iPad and I received the following message. This update cannot be installed because it requires at least 5.5 gigabytes available storage during installation. Any suggestions?
Yeah, if they've got a 128 gig Mac or something, they need to go through and either delete some files and photos or pay the $1 a month to Apple to get the 50 gigabyte storage, transfer their photos and documents to the iCloud, and that will free up the room to do the upgrade. When people buy an iPhone or an iPad, you know, I'm not a cheapskate by any means, but it can be frugal. We look at the lower price, which is normally 64 gigabyte or something. We have to keep our eye on the prize and say, okay, what if they add this or what if they add that? So I just bought a new iPad this week. I got 256 gigabyte memory. So the only way she can get that or he can get that upgraded would be to either eliminate photos, files or something, or sign up for Apple for $1 a month for the 50 gigabyte storage, move their photos and documents there.
Thank you. David. There you go.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. I have all Apple products and have been a dedicated Apple user for at least 10 years after I got out of the business world. The only thing you mentioned about Siri was being unable, just not saying, hey. Is there any, sort of behind the scenes advances in Siri in terms of maybe AI related stuff that allows them to have more functionality with it or multiple steps of functionality?
Yes, and I did not mention that, and it's a good question. Siri went through a rather major overhaul as well. Of course, using AI, your responses are much better than they had been in the past, where she would say, I forget how she said it. I don't know that or something. Well, now she does know, and she brings back far more answers. So yes, Siri has gone through a major AI upgrade, and you'll notice that. Good question.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mustafa.
Jerry, thank you for the presentation and for your time. I appreciate it. I have just a comment. A few years ago, when I was using the Siri, I forgot to say Siri or Hey Siri, and I just asked my question and my telephone respond to me. And since then, I never even say Siri. I just ask my question directly, and I just get the response.
Huh. I'd never heard of that, but interesting.
Yes, anyway, that was it. And then, like, for example, I am in Irvine or say Lake Forest. If my location is on, I just ask temperature or temperature for next 10 hours, and just give me the next 10 hours temperature.
Yeah, that's interesting, but it makes me beg the question, are they listening to you all the time so they know what you're saying?
I don't know. But
okay, if you look at your iPhone, if there's a little green dot in the upper right-hand corner, they're listening to you.
I actually never pay attention. That's on my Apple Watch. Everything else, my iPad. When I tell them, it does it. Also, the other thing is that if my location is off, then it says, I don't know what you are talking about, or they gave me ask question, what are you talking about? Which location?
Okay.
Each time is different. Then what I do, I say, like, for example, Lake Forest, California, and it just gives the temperature for next 10 hours.
Yeah, I would be a little leery of that because you are telling me that somebody is listening to every word you say, or something is.
Yes, I don't know, but that was my experience. Thank you.
Okay.
How do I fix that if somebody's listening to me? How do I?
I would first look at my iPhone and see if if your microphone is on. If it is, you should have a little green dot in the upper right-hand corner of your screen.
And
It's
then just turn it off.
It's always off, actually.
Oh,
The only time I push my button, I push the button on the side, hold it, and the Siri pictures come on my phone or my iPad, and then I ask my questions, and then let it go and let the button go, and then I get my answer.
Well, I certainly can see how that could be convenient, but I also can certainly see where that could be a bit of a security threat. I would probably have somebody look at my devices and see what's going on.
Thank you. Thank you for time.
Don, your turn.
Thank you. I wanted to make a comment to the first person who was asking about upgrading to the iPhone 15 or 15 Pro and point out that there is one specific feature on the i15 Pro this year that undoubtedly will trickle down in the coming years, but that's the ability to shoot in the 3D spatial video that will be viewable via the Vision Pro early next year. So if you want to get a jump start on capturing the family moments and such in this format, the iPhone 15 Pro will give you the ability to do so. And that's all I wanted to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill.
Hi. Have you got me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Two questions. One, I have an iPhone 10, and I'm particularly interested in a better camera. Which one would you recommend? And I'm particularly interested in a telephoto.
Well, the iPhone 15 has the strongest telephoto of all the iPhones right now. Unless I'm wrong, I believe it can go up to 5 times in the zoom mode.
And when you go to the zoom mode, is that a digital zoom or a like the lens, like
No, it is a digital zoom.
digital zoom? Okay, sounds good. And then also at one point, I was able to quickly remove the background from a photo, and that seems to have disappeared. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we did when we created a sticker. You bring up a photo of a person, let's say, and you long press on that person, you'll see the white squiggly line go around that.
Yeah.
You then have that background totally removed.
Okay, so that's different than what I had done in the past, but it's a similar effect.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie's going to be our last question. Diane, your turn.
Hi, good morning. I have a question on the standby mode for at night. I have an iPhone 12 Pro Max, and does the standby mode only work with the special charging stand? Is that why I can't use that feature?
You can use any charger, but standby will only work if your phone is in the lock mode and turned on its side. So if you wanted to plug in the original Apple charger and then just lean your phone against the lamp or something, standby will work fine.
Because it doesn't work. It's the screen there. There's no clock. Do I need to go onto the clock?
Well, first of all, you need to go to settings and standby and turn standby on.
Okay, I have standby on, night mode is on,
Okay.
show notifications is on,
Okay.
show preview on tap only is off.
Okay, so if you plug in a charger, the phone has to be in the charge mode. And I have a question about that. Maybe somebody can answer. No, your phone has to be in a charger, and it has to be turned sideways and sit on its side, not laying on its side, but sitting on its side.
Okay. Hold on a second.
Okay, while she's trying it, I was going to ask a question. You know, every now and then I'll read an article that don't overcharge your battery, don't do this. Yeah, you should charge the battery. There seems to be an ongoing argument. When you put the phone in standby mode, it is always charging. So that Apple's telling me it's okay to charge your phone whenever you need to. You don't have to
Okay,
wait till
so
it's 90% discharged. Okay,
Okay, so it's on, I just plugged it in and I have it in the horizontal position. And it's laying on my my desk, horizontal, but I don't, all I see is the apps. I don't see a clock.
if you see apps, you're not in your lock screen, lock mode.
Okay,
You need to make sure it's tipped up, not flat.
no, that's right.
And laying up against something, not laying on the table flat.
Okay, right.
Charlie keeps showing us how it goes.
Jerry, I have heard that too. You know, the everyone said you shouldn't charge your batteries over 80%. And some devices have limiters that's in your settings that will actually allow it to charge to 80% and then it stops. I haven't noticed that in any of my settings, but you might look for that.
Apple doesn't have that in their settings, as far as I know.
I believe my
But
Android.
Apple has the software built in to cut it off at a certain point automatically.
Okay.
And
So
they have an overcharge feature. Yes.
Good to know. Charlie, your last question, please.
So I was going to make a comment. I wanted to make a comment about the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max have a 5x optical zoom that it's interesting, and they use a reflective thing, prism in there, if you will, to do 5x optical zoom. And that's a big feature. That's a brand new thing. That's pretty cool. I just wanted to, on the person that was asking about Zoom and on that, so that's an interesting, really pretty interesting. So,
Charlie, if I can ask, and I don't have an iPhone 15, does the lens actually move? I know they call that.
It doesn't have to.
Apple's calling their thing a periscope camera as well.
Yeah, it's if you watch the presentation, it has a prism that it bounces it to make a 5x actual optical zoom.
Okay.
So, and that's what they advertise. So, yeah.
Good to know.
And that's only the Pro models. That's only the Pro models.
Exactly. Thank you.
And the only other thing was that on the turning on the iCloud for photos, the thing you got to make sure you have is turned on optimized photos. Otherwise, if you have the other setting is the full size photos. Remember, just by turning on iCloud for photos, it's both on your iPhone and in the iCloud. So if you don't have it turned on for optimize, what happens in that case is it keeps a lesser resolution, a smaller file size photos version on your phone than in the cloud. And you can always get the full size from the cloud, but that's how you save storage on your phone.
Okay.
For that, for the person that had trouble updating because they didn't have enough space on their phone. And also iMessage takes a lot of space too. So.
And I have another hint on storage. Look to see how much iCloud space you are using versus local phone storage. If you use Kindle or Audible, you may be saving books you completed on your local phone or iPad. That's filling up your storage space. These books can be sent to Amazon storage to save space. Thank you so much, Deborah. And then if you are interested in winning a copy of iOS17, the latest and greatest by Take Control Books, please go to the chat box and just put book and send it to me. I'm Jay Talor at APC. Yep, I'm Jay Talor on there. And we'll have a drawing and we'll have a winner. Over to you, John Kennedy.
Wow.
Oh, cool. I heard from 2 people already.
Hey, when it's free, you know how I feel.
You got it.
Thank you so much, Jerry. And again, we'll have open time later.
All right, you're very welcome.